On October 17, 2021, the Midnight Blackwood Express carried industrialist Arthur Vale and 6 seemingly disconnected passengers into the mountains. At 11:50 p.m., Vale gathered everyone in the first-class carriage. He placed a weathered black and white image on the table and stated that one person in the room had been lying for 30 years. Moments later, the train entered a mountain tunnel. The carriage lost all power, plunging the passengers into total darkness for exactly 7 seconds. That brief window of time transformed a tense meeting into a lethal trap, cementing the fates of everyone on board before the train emerged from the tunnel. When the lights returned, Arthur Vale remained in his private compartment. The conductor used a master key to open the door, finding Vale dead in his chair with a single puncture wound beneath his collar. This schematic maps the carriage at the moment of discovery. The compartment window was sealed shut. The door was locked from the inside. And the security cameras covering the corridor recorded 0 movement. A man was assassinated inside a hermetically sealed box, moving through the mountains, without the killer ever stepping foot inside. The 7-second blackout functioned as a remote trigger for a mechanical trap pre-installed inside the compartment. Investigators examined the objects placed immediately around Vale, focusing on an antique reading lamp positioned right beside his chair. This cross-section shows the modified lamp. A small needle was concealed in the base. When a power surge was routed to the carriage, the needle extended, delivered a fast-acting poison into Vale's yak, and retracted. The assassin bypassed the physical boundaries of the room by weaponizing the victim's own trusted environment against him. Identifying the mechanical trigger shifted the focus to the historical evidence Vale brought onto the train, the photograph. The image documented a bridge collapse 30 years ago that killed 23 people. Records later revealed that Vale and his lawyer, Mara Voss, had deliberately used substandard materials to build that bridge. A close crop of the faces in the wreckage reveals an even deeper connection. The passenger claiming to be the historian Jonas Black is actually Arthur's estranged brother, Daniel Vale, who served as an engineer on the original project. The photograph linked every passenger to the tragedy, from Thomas Reed's ruined company to Dr. Hart's medical cover-ups. The carriage was a curated gathering of guilty participants tied to a single historical disaster. Daniel's alibi relied on the train's dining car footage, which recorded him sitting there at 11:57 p.m., the exact time frozen on Arthur's broken pocket watch. This timeline compares reported events against physical data. The official record breaks down once you realize the train's master clock was set 4 minutes slow. Adjusting to the correct hour moves the moment of death backward, placing it entirely before the train reached the tunnel. Mara and Daniel killed Arthur earlier in the evening and smashed his watch. They then manually triggered the blackout to create a distraction, using the darkness to frame a time of death that guaranteed them both an alibi. The locked room was a temporal illusion, a meticulously designed lie meant to execute Arthur before he could blackmail his co-conspirators. At dawn, the Blackwood Express reached its destination, where police immediately arrested Mara and Daniel for the murder. The recovery of original railway documents solidified the timeline of the murder and the 30-year-old corporate cover-up that preceded it. The culprits were in custody, and the evidence was secure. To those on the outside, the case of the Blackwood Express had reached a logical conclusion. Investigative journalist Claire Morgan published the story 6 months later, but she chose to suppress one specific detail from the photograph Arthur had provided. If you look past the adults in the foreground, there is a detail hidden in the shadows. Reflected in the cracked glass of a train window is the faint silhouette of an 8-year-old girl. That child is Claire Morgan. 30 years ago, she stood by those tracks and watched her parents die in a disaster caused by the people in that carriage. Claire utilized Arthur's own blackmail documents to ensure the destruction of everyone responsible. She acted as the unseen architect of the entire investigation, a witness finally delivering the truth.